Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I have a few questions before we start. How is 2025 treating you so far? How has it been? What's been going on in your life? Has it been optimistic and the best year ever? The best year yet? Have there been times that have been challenging already? Have there been moments that have happened that have been unexpected? What I can tell you is that it has been a mixed bag so far in 2025, and we're just halfway through February, which is only the second month of the year. Okay. But I'm also here to tell you that whatever has happened, and we don't need to be fearing the future. So, a big part of today's video, lock in your legacy. How to do that is to be taking charge of that future and taking charge of that reality. Okay. So far this year, in my practice, and before I get really into it, it's been a while. Happy 2025. I don't think I've had a video out in 2025 yet. So if you're just new and joining us, hello, my name is Tina Patterson. I'm an attorney in Detroit, Michigan. I'm the principal counsel of my firm, which is Patterson Justice Counsel PLLC, and we primarily help in the areas of estate planning and probate. We also do some court work, but our goal is to really prepare you, plan, and preserve your wealth for future generations. Okay. And so when it comes to that, so far this year, we've seen a lot happen with our clients and people reaching out to us for a myriad of reasons. Clients who've experienced debilitating health issues, clients who have recently experienced loss in the family, and it's always apparent. Okay. So before I get into how to lock in your legacy, let's just chat why it's so important, really. So where we are, and I'm a big history fan, okay, history buff, if you will. History is the subject area that I loved most in school that got me into the law. Okay. So if you look at where we are in this moment of history, we have a generation known as the boomer generation, born from about 1940s to 1965, who are retiring by the millions every year. And they've been doing that for the last few years. But they've had some of the greatest wealth stored up in this country, United States, in recent history. And as they age, right, none of us is taking anything with us. So as people age, something's coming back down. The wealth is getting transferred down. And so what I'm seeing a lot of is children of the boomer generation, which would be Generation X, about 1965, 1980, and then also the millennial generation from 1980 to 1998. Particularly all of the babies born in the 80s. I see a lot of them now dealing with aging parents, parents who have recently passed on, parents who are advancing or, starting to accumulate health issues. And the concern is what's going to happen next. I've seen this in practice recently where, the children in those generations, they have just lost their parents. I've had colleagues that have just lost parents, older parents. And just being in court, right, and seeing the court cases before you while you're waiting, it's the same story, okay? So why is it so significant to lock in that legacy? So we're not having these dramas play out in court. So that children know exactly where the wealth is and exactly what to do with it. That is so key. And we're going to get into that today. But I just wanted to preface that that's what we're starting from. We're starting from a place of life is happening. Things are happening. We're not afraid of what's happening, but we understand that reality and we're going to prepare for it as much as possible ahead of time so we don't suffer long-term consequences that we don't want, that we could have never imagined were this bad by being unprepared. Okay. So that's the premise of the video. We're going to get into 4 key topics about it, about how you can really lock in your legacy this year. Your legacy is not just the property that you leave behind. It's not just the children, but it's how you lived your life, what you did to secure, to protect, the sacrifices you've made, right, to make sure that the burden doesn't fall on the next generation because it's going somewhere. So either you're going to pass down the burden of the plans you didn't make, or you're going to pass down blessings because you made the plans for that provision. All right. So keep that in mind as we get in through the video. I have some notes here. It's not a full outline like I usually like to do because I wanted to just kind of let it flow today. But we do have the 4 key areas how you can lock in your legacy in 2025 right now. All right, let's get started with the first one. The first one is going to be health. It's going to be health. Life and death are always happening. That is the circle of life. Okay, it is a circle. It's always going to be happening. We have to be prepared. And again, this doesn't mean being afraid. I do nothing out of fear. I don't counsel out of fear. My clients, even if I'm telling them something they may not want to hear, or if I'm giving them advice that is kind of contrary to what they are expecting or wanting, it's never from a place of fear. It's always from a place of preparation, and always from a place of this is the best course of action for you because it's going to accomplish your goal. And if that's misaligned, then maybe we just have the goal misaligned, right? You're never going to not make your destination unless you have two totally different destinations in mind. All right. So if I say, well, if we're driving if my assumption is we're driving to Miami, Florida, and yours is that we're flying, whatever, however, we're getting there to Atlanta, Georgia, then our paths are not going to cross. We're going in two different ways, right? But if we both know that we're going to Atlanta, we can get there by plane. We can get there by train, right? Maybe. I think they still put trains around. We can definitely get there by automobile. There's different ways, but the goal is the same. And so that's our objective when it comes to planning for health, all right? When it comes to planning for life, because it's always happening, we want to be prepared. So when it comes to health, again, I mentioned that since the year began, I have had clients who've experienced loss in their families, have had their own serious health complications, and it's sudden, right? Things they're not expecting; they just happen. And maybe there was some buildup over time, but like when it happens, and are you prepared for it at that moment? So when it comes to health, and when it comes to estate planning, when it comes to the law, key things that you can do are to have a health plan in place with powers of attorney. These are crucial, critical documents. I think a lot of times people just skip over them, they gloss over them, they don't understand them, but they are very, very powerful, very potent because they can prevent court action in the greatest way when it comes to health. So if you're having some challenges, if you have a sudden stroke, right, a sudden heart attack, something like that, and nobody knows what to do, nobody knows where you want to go, what kind of treatment you want, then your kind of closest next of kin will make the decision. So if you're married, it's a spouse. Unmarried, but you have adult children, maybe it's one of the children, right? But don't let it just kind of fall around. Have a plan for that. Powers of attorney, a healthcare power of attorney can help you do that. A healthcare power of attorney can name one individual that you trust with making those decisions for you, and not them making their own decisions, but you put in the decision that you want to be made for you, and this is the person that you're authorizing to do it. So if you do want that life-saving treatment, you can authorize it. You do want that person to make the decisions for you, you can authorize it. How does this help? Because when the time comes, nobody's panicking, nobody's afraid. We know what to do. Oh, I know who to call, and I know what to do, and the worry is gone. The biggest relief that comes from all of this is the stress of what to do. The stress of, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing this significant loss already, right? My cortisol levels are already all the way up here. And now I have to deal with this legal issue on top of it. I have had clients recently who, requested healthcare powers of attorney, rightfully, smartly so, because they're already dealing with the challenges of caring for loved ones, and they're just like, let me just get the actual paperwork done so it can be smooth. Not worry about the legal stuff behind it. That's what they don't need, the legal stuff behind it. And that's what powers of attorney can help you prepare for. And that's just healthcare. Okay. We'll kind of get into other kinds as we weave in, but when it comes to healthcare power of attorneys are significant. And also, obviously, not any estate plan, but having a plan in place. We'll get into also kind of the best kind of plan to have when it comes to really locking in. But let me just say this. It is better to have an estate plan than not have one. I'm going to really talk about wills and trusts a little bit later on, which is preferable to really lock in. The key is to have a good one, because I've seen wills that were bad, leaving a lot of stuff out. I've seen trusts that were bad, leaving a lot of stuff out. Okay. And so the key is to have something that is preparing you and your family as much as possible. It is as thorough as it can be without being too cumbersome, too detailed, but you're not leaving out key factors and key provisions. All right. So again, the real importance of those powers of attorney, they bring order to chaos and peace amidst grief. All right. The second area we're really going to lock in on in 2025 is obviously wealth. All right. This is the property. This is the money. This is the stocks. This is the cars. This is the collectibles, right? Valuable collectibles, the jewelry, whatever it is. This is it. Why? For preservation and legacy, for future footing for your next generation. As a parent myself, we always want to give our children the best without spoiling them, right? Because they have to develop their own character, and that's going to be a part of this as well. But you don't want to leave them with nothing. You don't want to leave them with less than what you had, because that just defeats the purpose, and they have to go and struggle and sacrifice and do all the things you didn't want to do, right? Because you left them nothing. Preservation and legacy. And then that's just going to be a testament to your legacy, is that I always reference the books behind me. This Black History Month, so you can see a lot of our great Black political, civil, moral figures in history, because of the sacrifices they made, because of what they left behind. People like me, were able to ascend to law school, right, higher positions that were previously being denied. It's the responsibility of every generation to improve upon the next. All right. And if you do this by protecting your property, by protecting your money, by sending it where it can go to benefit the next generation, not just giving it outright with no instruction, but sending it where it can go to benefit them the most. That is some of the most powerful action you can take in the now. All right. And let's talk about the law now. A big part of the wealth preservation. So we talked about powers of attorneys. There's the healthcare one we discussed, but also there is the financial power of attorney. This is significant as well. It does the exact same thing as a healthcare power of attorney, except it names the person you want to make financial decisions for you. Okay. There are provisions that you can exclude them from. You can tailor it to what you need it to be. But it essentially allows for you to name someone to take care of the business for you. Okay. Do the contracts, the real estate, the banking, the stocks, all the things that you would do. You just authorize someone else to do it. All right. And obviously this is key, because this one is very key. It avoids a court process known as conservatorship, where the court would appoint an attorney, usually on their own roster, to be the conservator and to be the one managing funds. I mean, a court can appoint, someone that asks to be that as well, like a family member. But there are accountings you have to file. There's paperwork you got to keep up with. It is very cumbersome. It's a lot of tasks involved, and it's privacy is lost. Everything goes to court. All right. Court is public, privacy is lost. And it can get really messy and really sloppy, especially if you are new to it. And also, even if you're not intending to act unethically, if you don't know, it can be held against you. Okay, so there's a lot more liability with that. Whereas powers of attorney are very streamlined, and also there are liability provisions in it as well. Okay, you can never act out of your own interest first, always out of the interest of the person who appointed you. Okay, but this is key in protecting the wealth, because again, let's go back to health. If you have this sudden illness, you have a sudden stroke, a sudden heart attack, fainting spell, whatever it is, you can't manage the business that you're handling the way you're down for a period of time. And then if you need to be on a road to recovery, trying to get back to banking and pay this and do that, it's only going to slow you down, because it's a burden on you. So if you name someone to step in your place and they can do it, everything just continues to be streamlined. Okay. Again, it's bringing peace in the midst of chaos. And another thing I mentioned with wealth, it's not just giving the kids your stuff, right? Like I said, we want to give our kids the best, but we're not going to do that to their detriment, right? And spoil them. Wisdom is the principal thing, right? So you have to teach them how to manage the wealth. Teach them what you know. And character development also. So you can dole it out. For instance, if you place everything in a trust, you can make provisions that they don't get everything right out, but they can have this here, or upon this achievement there, right? And do that in real life while you're still here. Teach them what you know. Teach them how to manage assets. Teach them how to use equity. Teach them how to use credit. Teach them the value of real estate. Teach them the value of a dollar. All right. Teach them business. Teach them. Uh, One of the greatest ways, a book, even if you don't write a full blown book like that, put it in a manual, right? Um, Online. Teach them. The wisdom is so important because that is what never goes away, but you have to be able to pass it down and share it. Okay. So then let's get into the third area where we're going to lock in our business. All right. So we talked about the wealth, but specifically, I'm talking about our businesses. And it doesn't really matter if you have a regular job or if you own a business right now. We're talking about just business, period. Okay. But we will talk about specifically for business owners. The key is there is money to be made. You want to keep as much of it as possible. And that's the bottom line, right? So for business owners, when it comes to business structures, do you have the proper structure in place? If you're an employee, are you negotiating your contracts to the maximum extent that you can to get the most that you can? But particularly for business structures, are you doing it so you keep them as much money as possible? Are you doing it to maximize profit? Are you doing it to pay well, but also to minimize tax liability? Do you have business procedures in place? What are your business operations looking like, right? And then again, even for employees, your tax filings, contracts. Contracts are a big one. I was talking to a business owner yesterday, multi six figures, doing very well. But the business just recently had a surge recently, and now they're like, oh wait, I need to get this in place, this in place, this in place, this, right? Because when you keep growing, you keep finding new little things that can come up, and they're not problems, they're just new challenges to solve so that you can keep growing, because it's always going to happen. All right. So when it comes to business, you want to definitely develop the mind for it. Find and just really do a good overview of what it is that you have, what you're handling, where your shortcomings are, where your strengths are, and how you can fill those gaps. Okay. And obviously, we're talking about legal stuff here. A succession plan. What's going to happen after? Who's going to take over the business? If it's a family business, who's going to take over? I can't tell you how many businesses I've seen where the founder just shut down and retired because nobody wanted to take over the family business. Daughters weren't interested, sons weren't interested. They want to do their own thing. Okay, but that's an asset. Rather than just shut it down, sell it and get the money for it, get the value for it, sell it. Live on what you need to, put the rest in investment or trust, right, for the benefit of your heirs. So thinking that term, and we're never thinking about business to harm. That's not, business and harm are not equated with each other. Okay, the only harm it can do is out of the person that it comes from. So business is good. There's a lot of good to do with it, a lot of good to be made from it. All right, but as we are really locking in for 2025, we have to mind our business, have it top of mind, know what's going on in it, how we can improve it, how we can best protect it, and we plan for that. All right. And the final area where we're going to be locking in for 2025 is in our peace. And might sound kind of crazy hearing this from a lawyer, right? We're supposed to do all this in court. No, no. You can see through a lot of these past videos I've done, I have a saying, never go to court first, ever. Court is adversarial. You do have the two sides. Court invites contention, and it can really bring out the worst in people, even the best people. Okay, so I don't take it lightly, and I always caution clients about it. It's never the first step. Do we go to court? Do I have cases in court? Yes, I do, because there are going to be times when we've done this. Well, we never start there. Every court case I've had, I've never started there. I've always started out reaching out to the other party first, or ascending in leadership if it's like a corporation or something like that, to let them know of the issue. Because we can work things out outside of court. And I've had success in doing that, major successes in doing that. Things that people told me I couldn't even do were done, okay, without having to go to a full-blown court case. Because the peace that is protected by solving your problems outside of this process is immeasurable. So I had a coach tell me once, a business coach of mine, say, Peace is the umpire. Peace is the umpire. Let it rule. Let peace rule. Okay. Again, once you're in that process, just the very nature of it invites contention, invites anger, hurt, unforgiveness. Oh my gosh, you sued me, you got me in here, now I'm gonna go and take you for all you got. It's not good. Okay. And even if we have to bring a case against someone who is violating rights or something like that, because I do have discrimination cases that I've taken on. I do have property cases that I've taken on where there's a loss of property involved and we have to pursue, right? Never do I do that without reaching out to the other side first and allowing time to go by too. It's never just a quick automatic, we're going straight to ever. Because there are so many other different ways that we can use to resolve our problems outside of court. And even once the case is in court, how many of them go to trial? Less than 10%. Why? Because the most peaceable goal is to settle, and not settle for less than, let's get that idea out of your head. Settle this so we can have peace. Okay. And everybody doesn't walk away happy all the time, but settle for the peace. The peace it passes everything else. Okay. And I'm really saying this because in 2025, I don't want you to have to go to probate court, especially. This can get very contentious. I told myself all the time I would never practice family law, which involves divorce, child custody, child support, because I don't want that drama, right? And I don't do it. Don't ask me ever. Okay. But I do like estate planning. I love the freedom that you get in creating your own plan. I love the legacy pieces. I love the assets and putting all the pieces in place of the puzzle, like this here. I love that feeling that. And then again, it's history too. You can see the whole family's tree, right? And you can see who's passing down what to whom. And I love all of that. But everybody doesn't always get along. And there are going to be some times where there's some pieces missing that we need to go pursue from court because we just can't get it from anybody else any other way. Okay. Or because some things are missing and now it becomes a court case. All right. But when it comes to probate, the anger, the contention, the hurt, the unforgiveness, this can be magnified there because families are often involved. The family home is often involved. For whatever reason, this has happened in many cases I've seen. Once patriarch and matriarch, mom and dad, once the last of them passes away, the siblings just fight for everything. And it's usually just one that is ready to light the match and get it going. Like has to have everything, has to be in control, has to dominate, has to tell everybody what to do. And that is very stressful and it's destructive. It is destructive to the family. It really is. And so that's why I say, I don't want you to go through probate court to the extent that you can avoid it. Do, because this comes out. I happened to come across a reel, I was just scrolling one day and it was very enlightening. It was a bird watcher who's also a pastor mentioned that he saw vultures in his area, just vultures. They were just perched high on a ledge, just standing there, waiting for something to happen, right? Waiting for some animal to die so that they can fight over the remains. And I thought that was so powerful because I see that in family probate cases. There's just one usually, just sitting back waiting. Doesn't matter. And I mean, everybody else has been 3, 4, 5 other siblings. They've tried to contact that person multiple times over the years, but they're just waiting. And they're waiting and they're fighting. And they don't want to share. Okay. And as an attorney, I'm counseling people on the other side of that. Okay, because I don't represent. If I see that in a client, I don't take that on. Okay, character is a big part of this work, so I don't just represent anybody. So I'm usually seeing these other siblings just trying to get through to this one, and it's so frustrating for them. And as good natured as they are, they start to not corrupt, but you see them just start to harden, and that is so sad because it's like I know this is not your character, and I know you're hurt. And I know this is hard, and I know we're in this battle now, but I think we don't have to continue in this route. I think we can still make peace somehow, right? I think we can still let peace rule. I think we can still get it. And I still think we can get what it is we came here for in court too. We can still get the house. We can still get the money. We can, right? But we don't have to fight it out in court to do that. And so when it comes to your estate plan, let me get into the wills and the trust right here. Okay. A will is good. And some people do need it. Like for me right now, I need it. I have a minor child. A will names a guardian for a minor child. And that's necessary. But a will has to go through probate court. It has to go through the process. A trust does not. A trust is, think of it like a bank account where you have, let's say, $1 million in the bank account and you name a beneficiary of who you want that $1 million to go to. It can be one person, it can be two, it can be three. You decide. And the money will be split and go to them according to what you decided. Think of a trust in the same way, okay? Except it's not a bank account. It can include a bank account. It can include stock accounts. It can include a house. It can include other properties. It can include anything you want to put in there, collectibles, anything. And then you distribute it according to your wishes. And for preservation purposes, you can keep it going, as long as you decide, okay? As long as it's necessary. So it has more longevity than a will. Whereas a will, you go through the court process, and once it's over, and it has no more effect, essentially. Okay, unless somebody tries to reopen, that's a whole nother issue. So when it comes to the peace, a trust is your more preferable option because it's gonna bypass that probate process. Probate is not going to be necessary. Excuse me, the probate court will still have authority if somebody wants to come challenge against the trust, but it's much harder to do that because if a trust is done properly, it is laid out and there's little room for challenge. Okay. But again, like I said in the beginning, it has to be done right. It has to be done well. I've seen trust be done 3 pages and 3 pages of nothing, to be honest. I've seen wills that left out real estate. I've seen that recently. I was floored. Like, how do you not include the house or any property, any real estate in the will, right? So it has to be done right. It has to be done well. And that's why proper planning is preparation that protects peace. Proper planning. Okay, not just putting something together on some paper, not just downloading a free form, which I've seen that happen and that does not work. Okay. But really getting serious. That's why this video is titled How to Lock In, because you have to get serious about what's going on. All right. 2025 has been quite a year. Again, like we mentioned at the top of the video, the politics are enough in of itself, right? But there's so much more life happening outside of politics, so much more life happening outside of the White House. Again, everything I just mentioned to you, all of that stuff I've seen this year. And it's 2025, February 13th. Okay. This stuff is happening and it has real life consequences and it has immediate consequences to you, your family, your future. It's time to lock in. Lock in means getting serious about taking care of these issues. Yeah, we're going to take care of the health issues today. And I'm not even talking about making changes to your diet and exercise and all that, which, that's part of it, but that's not what I'm here to teach about. I'm talking about making provisions for when or if any health challenges appear, when death appears, what's going to happen, right? Your wealth preservation and your legacy. Okay. Protecting what you have now while you're building for the future and protecting that as well. Business. Let's get down to it. How much money can we make? How much can we keep? How much can we pass on effectively? How much can we protect ourselves and the business while we're doing it? Right? And then peace. How much can we keep of that? And that is the most priceless. And how we do that? By staying out of court, by having good agreements, right? By communication, by strengthening relationships, by proper planning, because planning is protection of peace. Okay. So I want all of these things for you. I want you to lock in. I want your family to be well. I want you to be in health. I want you to prosper. Okay. Even as your soul prospers. I want you to have all of this. And so what I've done is with this video today, I'm launching the Lock in Your Legacy Essential Estate Planning Masterclass. Okay, because this is 2025. It's time to get real. It's time to get serious. It's time to put this in action. So the Lock in Your Legacy Masterclass is going to be a 3-day event. It begins on Thursday, in 2 weeks. Thursday, February 27th. Okay. Thursday, February 27th at 10 a.m. Friday, February 28th at 10 a.m. And then we're going to have a bonus session on Saturday morning, March 1st, a new month. Okay. So open a new month with new ideas. That's going to be our bonus session. Same time, 10 a.m. Okay. So the class is going to run from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then we're going to have a Q&A session from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. All right. And then the Saturday is only for our VIP bonus. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. It's going to include a class and it's going to include a Q&A. All right. The details and how to register are in the link below. All right. 3 days. The general, which is just going to be the 2 days of class on Thursday and Friday, is a $497 ticket. Bonus, which includes the 2 days, the Q&As on both days, and the bonus day with Q&As is $997. And it includes a bonus course that I did called Planning Your Success, which is valued at $200. Okay. So you have two options. The details are in the link below. No matter what you do, I want you to get serious. I want you to get real about what's going on in your life, not just in life generally, in your life. Yeah, the news, yeah, the politics, even Super Bowl. Go Eagles. I'm happy they won, right? I think we all are, so many of us. But you, what are you going to do? Yeah. And whatever you're going to do, it's up to you to do it. Nobody else can act for you. And even someone like me, an attorney, I will be there by your side, counsel you, and help you put these plans in place, but I can't do the action for you, right? You have to decide. You have to make that decision. So if you're ready to try something new, not just try something new, do something new. If you're ready to create a new path forward, if you already know that you have so much going on and you just need some assistance doing it, and you know that this is what you want to do and you want to get real and get serious about it, then join us. Okay? Join us at the Lock in Your Legacy Masterclass. I mean, I'm going to be giving out some of my best stuff because the biggest problem is just education a lot of times. People are not aware. You don't know what you don't know. And so watching videos like this is a good start. Okay? I have plenty more videos online. I have about 12 hours of videos. You don't need to watch them all, but you can pick and choose what will be helpful for you. But the key is to lock it in. Lock it in. Start somewhere, and you can start here. You can start here today. Okay? So if this video has been helpful for you, please do like, please do share, comment with your neighbors, with your network, with your friends, your family. All right? And we're going to be back doing videos on YouTube this year. I haven't set a consistent schedule yet, but look out for it. Subscribe so that you'll be notified no matter when and what time they come. Oh, and one more thing is also on the link below, you can join us for some live tapings as well for what I'm calling the estate planning success secrets. Okay. And so we have a series of that going on starting tomorrow through the end of March. Okay. So if you just want to come in and watch and get some free nuggets, please be my guest. All right. But I do hope to see you in 2 weeks at the Lock in Your Legacy Masterclass as well. Until then, I am Attorney Tina Patterson, and I hope you have an amazing day. And happy Valentine's Day in advance. Take care.